I thought you were a little bit unfair to George Gilder, who caused me to burn my Anstable button. I wonder if you would give your critique of supply-side economics.
Oh, wow. All right. In the first place, I was just thinking about it on the plane coming over. Supply-side economics is a very peculiar rubric. It's sort of a portmanteau term. Okay, it's applied to almost anything. In the very broad sense, supply-side economics means being concerned with increasing production, okay, or concerned with the supply side of the economy, with production rather than demand or money or fiscal policy. Well, in that sense, I mean, a lot of left-wing supply-siders, the income policy types like Mary Bosworth. Supply side means we have to have an income policy, have wage price control, and force these people, blah, blah, blah. There's also the guys who want to have $200 billion subsidies to this industry and that industry. That's also supply side. Okay. So these guys, of course, are outside the pale. I mean, but they're around everywhere. It's very confusing. The term supply side covers all these people. Reindustrialization, we do it by having government subsidies and planning. And we sit here in Washington, we think that the Synfuel program should go and the other program shouldn't, and Chrysler should, the big bailout, whatever it is. So we ignore that, but I just want to say that's a big thing in the supply side field. Okay? It's sort of a fashionable term now. Everybody rushes into it. Okay, now the narrow supply side, I suppose, is the Laffer curve. Okay, a concept that a big tax cut will increase government revenue proportionally, so that even more, so that because it will free the economy and increase saving and work and so forth and so on, so that you wind up with even greater total revenue than you had before. The Laffer curve is essentially the way out. It was a Tanstoffel way out. It was the way by which the Republican candidates last election could square the circle, right? Because the thing that always impressed me is Mary McGrory. I hate to watch politicians ever, but I happen to watch the Iowa debates, if you remember them. The 8 guys or whatever it is, Republican candidate. Mary McGrory gets up and she gives an excellent question. She says, Mr. Bush, or whoever she addressed it to, and to everybody, you're all promising the following things: a big tax cut, right? Balanced budget, right? And keeping the same level of government services, right? Sounds like a contradiction to me. How are you going to do all this? And they all brought in the Laffer curve. They didn't mention Laffer, of course, but they said, well, you see, if you cut tax rates, the revenues would be so great, it'll wash all of that. Now, first place, there's no evidence for this, all right? I mean, I'm not saying it's inconceivable that would happen. There's no evidence for it whatsoever. I don't think it would really happen. I think, so far, some smart leftist economists, who don't seem to exist anymore, but some smart leftist economists, the way he or she could rebut the Laffer curve would be as follows. Okay, let's test the Laffer curve, fella. Let's do it the other way around. Let's raise income taxes by 20% and see if revenue falls off. I'll bet your bottom dollar that wouldn't fall off. Okay? But see, that's the way they could outfox Laffer. They haven't done it yet. But I shouldn't really publicize because somebody's going to take that. That's right. Now, I personally am in favor of any tax cut anytime, anywhere, right? I'm in favor of cutting marginal taxes, total taxes, depreciation allowances, anything of any size. So I'm sympathizing with Laffer people in that respect. I'm in favor of cutting taxes regardless of what happens to the budget. On the other hand, because for one thing, even if there's a bigger deficit, which I think there would be, why should a tax be better than a deficit? I mean, tax is pure evil. A deficit is just half evil. Okay? In other words, at least if you have even if the deficit were inflationary, right? At least even if your Wonder Bread would now cost $2 a loaf instead of 70 cents a loaf because of the deficit, at least you're still getting Wonder Bread. But taxes, you're getting nothing except heartache. Okay? So in other words, the tax is the worst possible thing. On the other hand, I think that Laffer curve is pure demagogy. I think they know it. I think these people really know it. I really do. I think it's pure political demagogy. And because I asked Laffer, I met him in Chicago, and I asked him, well, look, supposing it doesn't work, and supposing you're on the other side of the Laffer curve, and also, there's no time dimension in the Laffer curve. In other words, he really says it's instantaneous. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be instant. You can't gear up and produce twice as much in two weeks. Maybe you work in 5 years. No, it's supposed to be instantaneous. So I asked him that, and this is the position Irving Kristol takes as sort of the guru, the political philosophy guru of the supply of Laffer people. And they both have really the same answer. They really say it's all demagogy. In other words, they really say, what Laffer really said was, look, by the time they get the tax cut, they'll love it so much they wouldn't care about the deficit, about the revenue and all that. Right? That's really what it amounts to. It's all a shuck. It's a scam. The whole thing is a scam. And I don't, and even though in a sense I'm sympathetic because I like to see taxes cut anyway, it really redounds against you. I don't want to be, sort of a cliche preacher here, but some people might remember it. Public memory might be short. I remember it for 6 months. By God, it didn't work. We cut taxes and revenue fell off, and then we're sunk.